Hello my friends and welcome to this video. I've got a very different style of video today. This is just going to be a pretty laid back video where I'm actually just going to go through and explain how I make some of the when F1 2021 is a bit too realistic videos. I get a lot of comments on them of people just ask me, how I've done this, stuff like that. And a few people have asked for a bit of a BTS, and this isn't quite that, but I'm basically just going to go through some of them and show you how it's done. So yes, the first one is I'm going to show you the Hungary one from like a week and a half ago, where I showed Hamilton not going into the pits when everyone else does, and then starting by himself. So yeah, the first thing I did was I went into a race and I set the weather to start off as light rain and then go to dry. And then what I did for the first half of the race is I spent this time, I was Lewis Hamilton, I spent this time rearranging the order. So I think it was the top 5 or the top 6 was all in the right order. So it was like me, then Ocon, then Vettel, and whoever was behind them. Although one thing to note actually is that I was actually, because I was like doing so many like crashes and stuff, so I had damage off and rules off, by the way, just so I can crash people in the right position. But yes, I did that so much, I was actually technically, I was 2 laps down here, even though it obviously looks like I'm in the lead. I was very far behind technically. But yes, then I was just doing that, and then once I was happy that I got like the top few drivers in the right order, then I basically just chilled in front of them until it went to dries, because luckily all the AI, they pit at the same time, although that is if they are at the same part of the track. So yeah, all I had to do was just wait until then, and then when that did finally happen, I just was in front of them. I drove very slowly. I can't speak. I drove very slowly just to try and hold them up, so it does look like a formation lap, because obviously it was not a formation lap. So yeah, and then all I had to do was just hope that they all went into the pits, and sure enough, Ocon went in the pits, Vettel, the Ferrari, the AlphaTauri. So yeah, it was looking pretty good. And then, I forgot how sneaky I was. Yeah, so actually what happened was not all of them went in the pits. Some drivers had actually pitted already the last lap. And yeah, that was a bit of a problem. So all I had to do at this point as Hamilton was just drive, stop on this grid position here, and like pretend to sort of start the race. I'm going to show another camera angle of the same race, which will massively expose me. This is one of the camera angles from that race, and this is like the unedited. I can't speak today. Oh my god! This is like the unedited version. So this is the same camera angle you just saw, but as you may have seen, there is a Ferrari and Alpine that did not go in the pit lane. And if we go to this camera angle, you can in fact see that not everyone did pit, and there is me there and some cars that didn't pit. So yeah, that, and there's another AlphaTauri. So that was a bit of a problem. So actually in the video, you see that I cut to, yeah, there we go, that onboard there on Esteban Ocon. Literally the only reason I did that was so that you couldn't see that there were some cars that actually didn't pit. No other reason at all. So yeah, so what I had to do, I had to go to Hamilton. I had to wait for these cars to get out of sight, and then I just literally just parked up at the number 1, at the pole position spot. And then here's the interesting bit. So in this race, obviously, I couldn't get the starting lights on. So I just sort of, I stopped, went into neutral, and just, yeah, as I said, just pretended it was a race start, really. And then, yeah, I did that, and then just drove down the road, pretty much. And that was it for this race specifically. So I then went into another race, where I was also Hamilton, and I tried to get the exact same weather, and I got onto pole position. And then I just like did a normal start. The reason being is that I could take these starting lights here, and you can actually see, if you look very, very closely, there is, you can see a little line there where you can see I've edited it in. But yeah, I was in like the same position, so it was really easy. I literally just got the gameplay from the second race where I actually was doing the start of the race, and then just cut out a little box around the starting lights, cut around another little box there, and there we go. I have my starting lights. It took quite a while actually to sync it with the commentary and also my gameplay of me starting here. That was very fiddly, probably the most difficult part, but I did that nice and easily. And then all I had to do for the second part, I then went into another Hungary race where I was George Russell. and I did like dry weather but cloudy, as if it had just, you know, finished raining. And I got the right orders. There's Ocon, Vettel and Latifi. Those three were in the right order. And then I had to brake check people, so that loads of people get front wing damage and come into the pit lane, which actually took a very long time. Probably wasn't the easiest way to do it. I then went around. I then went down the main straight to the pit exit, and I was just sat there for a while waiting for them all to queue up in the pit lane. And then when I was ready, I just left, and then this is the shot you're seeing here. You might be noticing it's quite zoomed in, and that is because these are literally the only cars that actually did pit. But obviously wanted it to look like the whole grid had pitted pretty much. So I just kind of zoomed in just to try and, yeah, you sort of see it there. But just to try and, you know, just sort of hide a little bit. And then all I had to do was just drive slowly to let them pass. Because obviously in real life, Russell had to let those cars pass. So obviously that bit was pretty easy. And then I just went into another race once again. This time it's sunny, and I just had to go as Hamilton on the inters and just pit for mediums just to get that shot there. So yeah, that is how I did the Hungary one. So now I will show you how I did the Abu Dhabi one, which I think is my personal, out of all the ones I've done, I think this is my favourite one in terms of the finish result. And yeah, I think at the time it was like the most complicated one I'd done. So the first thing I did, I went into a race as Latifi. This bit was actually pretty simple in terms of like the sort of planning it. Literally, I just had to go as Latifi. I went on the hards and I went behind Schumacher, and I just had to follow him through this section and then spin here. It took very, very many flashbacks to actually get a close enough crash. And yeah, here we go. Here we've got a replay. I was happy with that. And I was stopped in the right part of the tracks that, like, when the camera went to me as Latifi, it would kind of look similar to real life. In fact, I actually remember I flashbacked so many times to get this crash right that every time I would flash back into the same place, my car would literally drop like from the ground. Like, it was like a few inches up in the air and it would drop onto the ground. And then that caused me to like pretty much spin. The same has happened to Schumacher. I'll drop a little clip of it in here. But yeah, that was weird. And then I just went into another quick race where I was Verstappen just on the hards, and I just went into the pit lane for the softs, literally just to get that shot, just like they did in real life. And then I went into another race 3 now already, and I just had to cause a safety car, and I was Verstappen at this point there. Now the thing with this game is that you can't get a safety car in like the last few laps of a race, even if like, on, you know, the second last lap there is a massive incident or something, there will just never be a safety car. So obviously this, I had to kind of pretend that this was like the second last lap going into the last lap, but it obviously wasn't. It was just like the middle of a race. So yeah, I was Verstappen. I don't know how accurate that order is, probably not very accurate, but I just needed it so that Bottas and Perez weren't right behind me because they weren't in real life. I think in real life there was a Ferrari behind, like on the timings, but not on the actual like track right at that point, because I think that was actually Ricciardo there. So yeah, so then here I just had to wait for the safety car to end. This was actually just, I don't know, just a random lap of a race. And then I just had to sort of follow Hamilton and do the thing where I sort of go like slightly side by side, not as much there. And then yeah, I had to recreate the last lap. Luckily I was actually genuinely on fresh softs. He was on mediums, not hards, which is very annoying. But yeah, so I just had to go after him. I set the AI level not like super low, but just low enough that it would be like easy to overtake. I had to follow him here, get the camera angle changed there as in real life. Now here, because the track is different in the game, it was so annoying. I had to, and obviously I wanted it to be synced with the commentary. Like, I couldn't just have it where like for 5 seconds the commentary just went silent and like there's nothing going on, because in the game I was going through the chicane. So what I did do was just kind of, yeah, just cut it out pretty much. I tried to make it as subtle as possible. And then here we go, I had to go for this overtake, which following a chicane was a lot harder than real life, I feel like. Because like, I didn't, you know, for Verstappen in real life, he had like all of this straight to get in the slipstream and get closer and send it. And it would be a heavy braking zone as well in real life, because there's obviously a lot more speed going to this. Then in the game, following the chicane, when I'm going like really slowly here, and look at that, look how far behind I am, and it's like such a small braking zone after the chicane. So yeah, and the only reason I actually cut to Verstappen's onboard here was because I couldn't get a clean move. And when on board with Verstappen, it's harder to see that I did actually just crash into Hamilton. Because Hamilton in the game does not swerve out of the way like he did in real life. So yeah, then I just had to weave down the straight. Now these camera angles at this point were so annoying. This was still with like the broadcast camera. And look how terrible they are. Like, and when it goes through the chicanes, obviously at this point I had to sort of use my ERS to the point where Hamilton was kind of at this part of the track, going like down to my right. These camera angles were terrible. Like, what is that? I can't believe how bad they were. But yeah, so obviously Hamilton was then ahead. Not ahead, behind. And then I just had to kind of go a bit slowly here so that this would happen. He would go like almost, well, yeah, side by side and almost ahead. Then obviously I just had to go ahead. And then at this point, all I had to do was finish the lap. I tried to do another subtle cut to disguise the fact that the track is different. There we go. That was a bit of a, yeah, that's where I cut it basically. And then here we go. I just had to finish the lap. Now, obviously, in the game, this was not the final lap, and I wanted the like checkered flag and the fireworks. So if you look closely, there we go. After that cut, this is now a new race. This is now the 4th race, I believe, where I've gone into another race. So this actually just is the last lap. This is literally like a 3-lap race where I went as Verstappen and I just got Hamilton, and I think there should be a Ferrari behind, hopefully, if I actually did get the right order. So yeah, I went into another race so that I could literally just get the fireworks and, you know, that sort of stuff, so just to make it look like it actually was the last lap. And then, of course, I had to get the little slide. I flashed back a few times to get that right. And yeah, there we go, we got the fireworks. So it was absolutely definitely lap 50 out of 58. And yeah, and I was just thinking, I remember on this last lap I must have done so many flashbacks, which is the beauty of having like a replay mode, like having replay mode gameplay and not like actual raw gameplay. It means I can flashback as many times as I want, and trust me, I do make full use of that to try and get the little details really. But yeah, that was quite a fun one to make actually, this Happy Type one. I wish there was still lots more moments I could recreate that are as good as this. But yeah, I don't have anything else to waffle on about, so that is how I make them. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below and I will try and reply to them. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.